Travel turns. What's a travel turn? In 5 Torches Deep, there is a concept called travel turn, where basically an hour or 3 or 4 rooms in a dungeon, you essentially have used a travel turn. And it's just a way to track time as you're moving forward. Tracking time and travel is important to me, and I don't always get it right. I've kind of made a 1-page traveling and time tracking guide, hack, homebrew system, one of those, and it kind of works. It kind of makes everything super easy when traveling. So I just want to go through it. I want to talk about my travel turn DC to describe what a travel turn DC is. Hey there, my name's Carmichael. I'm new to Dungeon Mastery. This series is a kind of preparation series to talk about my game sessions and get ready to start DMing my own series on this channel. Usually I use this as a healthy self-critique. I'm constantly pushing myself as a storyteller and messing around with game design, mechanics. That way I can just spend more time with my friends playing D&D. At the same time, my brain always needs rules and mechanics to help build a foundation for my imagination, so I often come up with weird crap to make it easier for me to play D&D. We do play D&D weekly on Twitch. We re-upload them here on YouTube, and they're usually DM'd by my good friend Jared Sullivan, and I try to keep this series regularly uploaded. When I have cool shit I want to talk about, then I upload. Please do consider subscribing, push that like button if you like what this channel is making and want to see what else it makes. Of course, we have a Discord link below, and we also have a Patreon if you want to help make this channel even better than it is. Just head over to patreon.com/fablesd20. Link should be in the thing below. Until the PCs match or pass the DC. Every roll under the DC carries over and adds to the next roll. The farther away the destination, the DC doesn't increase. Instead, the travel is more abstractly represented by days to weeks to months. So, if it's under a day, we're doing miles. If traveling over 1 week, the DC is in days. If traveling over a month, the DC is in weeks. So a single roll is how far did you guys get in that day? Or in months, how far did you guys get in that week? Every travel turn, a PC rolls their travel die. The higher the roll, the farther the PCs have a chance to travel in that travel turn. So if it's going to take 24 miles, which is the average travel distance, right? The DC is going to be 24. Roll your travel die. If you don't get to 24, then that's a travel turn, and we're going to see an encounter happen. Once their total roll equals or passes the travel DC, they reach their destination. Each D6 travel die represents a quarter of the time left in a 24-hour day. Morning, day, evening, and night. The concept being is if you guys left in the morning, I'd give you 4d6. If the party leaves in the afternoon, roll 2d6 for this travel turn. I have math to make that all balanced and make sense. In the system of D&D, a day of travel is 8 hours. The DC for day of travel is 24 miles. If the party gets to the destination within a single roll, you do not roll on a random encounter. They just made it. It was a productive day. You guys got to the end. If they don't roll enough, let's say you just rolled bad, you got low numbers on that 4d6, all right, it's time to bring out the encounter table. But the point is, everyone gets to contribute to the travel, so that within the 8 hours, everyone around the table gets to roll. Even if only one player has cartographer tools and is proficient with them, well, that player gets to add their proficiency bonus to it. So ideally, you want that person to go first, and then if you're proficient in nature or a ranger, you ignore the difficult terrain that can slow this down. A week of travel is about 6 to 7 days. The DC would be half of 24 times the days that they need to travel. It's 46 per day, max 1 roll per day. I've done the test on just rolling hundreds of dice. In about 4 to 5 rolls, unless they're rolling great, they'll get there. Month of travel, 4 to 5 weeks. The DC is similar to how weeks of travel are. It's half of 24 times the number of weeks, 46 per week. Again, I did the tests. I rolled dice for a couple hours. It's robust, it works. All right, if that's the general concept of travel, or at least for me, with days, weeks, and months, how does that change if you're traveling over land, over sea, or flying? So Overland, you can push beyond your 8 hours at the risk of exhaustion. So if you're traveling overland and you make your 8 hours or your full round of the table, if you haven't made it there, the players can choose to push beyond the 8 hours. After every roll, they all have to roll Constitution saving throws. And if it's the first hour being pushed, it's 10 plus 1. If it's the second hour being pushed, it's 10 plus 2, and then plus 3, plus 4, until they get to where they want. So they can push and get there, but it is dice rolling. And remember, you as the DM can choose, hey, do we roll on the encounter table or not? So in 5 Torches Deep, they have a concept of harsh terrain on top of difficult terrain. So I wanted to keep that in this travel 1-page system. Difficult terrain, instead of rolling 4d6, you roll 3d6 for the duration of the difficult terrain. Taking it down 1, you do feel the burden. So what makes difficult terrain? Dim light, a lake, river, small boat, going stealthily, being encumbered, overgrown, or no trail. And that's where the ranger removes the difficult terrain aspect of it. But do know that, like, if your PC is proficient in nature, it doesn't affect the whole party. If you're a ranger, you're allowed to have your whole party ignore difficult terrain. Harsh terrain, instead of a 4d6, it's a 2d6. And that is complete darkness, harsh weather like snowstorm, heat waves, rain, wildfires. These are harsh terrain. Oversea travel on a ship. I would argue this can always change. 2 weeks for a nearby port, 4 weeks for a faraway port, 8 weeks for an unknown far port. Like, we're on an adventure, we don't know where we're going, but we know we're going this way. And the concept of putting that many weeks together is, that's how many times you probably should roll. Maybe 8 should be 6, who knows? Or it should be the whole table, regardless of number. So among the travel die you roll for traveling overseas, the lowest number for the roll equals the wind quality. This is very important when traveling overseas. I wouldn't recommend it for just a boat on a river or a lake, because you can just apply difficult terrain. So if you roll your 4d6 and the lowest number you get is 1 or 4, you have unfavorable winds. You got slowed down a little bit, which means you subtract the die with the highest number. If there are more than 1, just take one of those high dies out. If your lowest roll is a 2 or a 5, you got a steady breeze, and it's just what you roll is what you roll. If you roll a 3 or a 6, and those are your lowest numbers, you have favorable winds, which means you add an extra 1d6 right there. You got a little bit of a boost, and that extra die doesn't equal any wind quality. It's just more miles. Over air, so flying. Flying over great distances follows the same wind rules as overseas, but flying can ignore all ground and water-based difficult terrain. Harsh terrain will still mess you up. And that's kind of my 1 page. Underneath that, I have something that I talk about in session 6 is combat. I have a note is 6 seconds per round. I think if you play D&D enough, you memorize that. And something I mentioned in session 6 video is short scenes, average scenes, and long scenes. Something that I learned from the Alien RPG. So a short scene is about 2 to 5 minutes. An average scene is 10 to 15. Long scene is 20 to 30 minutes. And those are doubled if they're moving stealthily. That's just a way to help the DM track how much time is passing while you guys are moving through rooms of a dungeon or sitting and having a scene of dialogue. If this scene feels like you guys went in depth in a conversation, you guys probably spent a half hour talking. And then on the bottom of the sheet, I just have a reminder. A short rest is 1 hour, and then a long rest is 8 hours, with whatever other text that the player's handbook has. So that's my travel turn DC. It's heavily inspired by 5 Torches Deep and the Alien RPG. And then, you know, just brewing. I really like that you roll 4d6 to see how far you travel. All right, that's me talking about traveling and travel die and my travel turn DC, and also tracking time. All in the same thing. You're tracking time and travel all in once. I hope this is not boring. I hope this makes sense. Hope this is even interesting. You tell me. All right, so I gotta get back to work. If you want to support this channel, obviously you can hit those likes, the thumbs up, the subscribe button. But honestly, if you really want to help this channel and you like the weird crap that I talk about, if you like the Fables games and you want to help make this channel better, if you want to help it grow, we do have a Patreon. You just head over to patreon.com/fablesd20. The link is down below. We also have a Discord. We live stream on Twitch. We do all the stuff, you know? So stay safe, say hi to your neighbor, and remember, use your THAC0. All right, bye.